fruit cellar to the labyrinth below was very tight, and he grunted as he squeezed himself past the bricks and rotted wood. Within minutes, he felt the stares of hostile eyes, or perhaps eye sockets, upon him. The souls of the fallen garrison had indeed remained here. He had no fear of these beings. They would collapse easily beneath his arrows. He advanced on the creature and loosed his arrow in acidic defiance. Down it went. He hoped that its pitiful cry would be a warning to the other beasts that surely waited below. He found a spear, likely the armament of some other poor soul who had challenged the maze. He knew it would be useful against the beasts he would face, and stowed it amongst his belongings. He'd seen the cloaked skeleton. He wasn't a fool. He knocked his arrow, spun to face the monster, and loosed with all speed. The first arrow wasn't enough. The skeleton responded by hurling a hand axe it had likely procured from some fallen adventurer. Our man was stolid, however, and endured the blow without bowing. He returned fire, and the monster fell to the floor in pieces. Past the pile of bones, he found a chainmail hauberk, dusty and worn, but nevertheless useful. He took it up and equipped it right away. Surely it would protect him from corporeal attacks. He knew he wasn't the first to enter here. He would find other bits of armor to protect himself. Perhaps he'd find other items that would aid in his defense as well. He continued his exploration. At this junction, he found a small money belt. Inside was a necklace, and he frowned to think that it was a keepsake or good luck charm that one of his forebears had carried on a doomed advancement. Out of respect, or perhaps some hope that he might see the surface of the earth again someday, he collected it and held it where the beasts of the labyrinth wouldn't reach it. He spotted a bow in this room, one plainly of a more elegant craft than his own. He decided it would be best to toss his old bow behind him and take up this new one to better protect himself from a hand axe. Definitely a weapon that a fellow adventurer had wielded. Our man wouldn't let it go to waste. He took it up and saved it for a future battle. How many days would this quest demand? Our man would require sustenance, and if it meant procuring the grain carried by those who preceded him, then so be it. Another undead pawn, ready and waiting. Our man took aim and loosed on the unnatural being without thinking. Blows were traded and our man suffered injury. Fortunately, the hauberk turned what could have been a nasty puncture into a mere bruise. Another forgotten belt, this one holding a small iron key. Our man suspected that the locks it opened were not far away. He put it in his pack. Something was here. That this hall ended in blankness didn't sit right with him. He bent down, felt at the crease between the wall and the floor, and tugged upwards. Whether the door had been intended as a hidden passage, or had been rendered so by the natural collection of dirt and dead bugs, he knew not. What he did know was that secrets were everywhere, and that strict vigilance would be necessary. Another skeletal being, wrapped in moldering, moth-eaten robes, waited in ambush. It reared back, rusty hatchet in hand, and swung. It was a blurry exchange, but the results were clear enough. The creature had made its den in some ancient armory. Among the rusted cobweb trinkets, our man found a sturdy bronze throwing axe. It was heftier than the axe he was already carrying. He decided he'd hold on to both. He had hesitated to use the latter the first time he'd seen it. One side of his mind told him there were treasures to find that would be helpful during the trials to come, and that he should take his time in scouring the area. The other side, however, was admittedly scared. Frightened whispers about the things that slithered beneath the fort had always crept about the village. He steeled himself by remembering something more important than that. He remembered why they were there and the people who had brought them. It was the reason he had come here. A simple farmer and former conscript, a man with little to his name. As he stepped onto the creaky wooden rungs and lowered himself into pits unknown, he began to reflect on what had led him to this moonlit, lonely road.